Hi ladies, it's Carmen and welcome to this week's Grace Note Devotions. I hope your week is going well. I hope that you've been able to process some of the devotions that we've shared the past couple of weeks, and I hope you've got some very practical, tangible tools that you've been able to apply to your toolbox. And I do hope that it's wrestled with your thinking a little bit, to have those moments of honest reflection with God. Where are you? How are you leading yourself? And might there be some areas that we can lead ourselves a little bit stronger? Today I want to share with you a concept that I heard on a podcast, and I thought that is so true. So many times I'll hear somebody speak or somebody teach, and it's like they give me words to put with my feelings. And this was one of those moments that I want to bring to you. And then I want to share a very practical tool that I've had in my toolbox. I've often shared it out with other people that I think could help us if we find ourselves in this position or in these shoes, okay? And my gut tells me you have found yourself there, or you will find yourself there. On the podcast, what they were talking about is that, well, truthfully, it was Craig Rochelle and Dave Ramsey, and they were talking back and forth. And one of the things that Craig had asked Dave about his leadership style coming out of the pandemic, and one of the things that they were talking about is, we hear about the great exodus, and after the pandemic, so many people just want to maybe quit their jobs or leave their jobs or do something else. And Dave Ramsey shared something that just really caught my attention, and he said it's almost like they woke up and realized, oh, they really are going to die someday. And it's like, I'm going to do something about it now. And I thought, wow, looking at that through a spiritual lens, the pandemic did expose people to death in a way that maybe they've not experienced in their lifetime. Not just death of maybe loved ones, but the frequency, right? The multitude of death that we've all heard of or experienced or come in contact with because of a pandemic. And what he was sharing is that he's had to change his leadership style with his employees to give them room in a safe place to be able to process some of those feelings. And what he was saying is, the way you lead going into a crisis is different than the way you lead in a crisis. And what they've realized is that they have to change their leadership styles again to lead out of that crisis, because the pandemic was a very different playground. And now as employees are processing some of those internal big picture spiritual thoughts, we can say that through a spiritual lens, right? How do they meet those employees there, and how do they lead them? My instincts tell me you're surrounded by those people. My instincts tell me not only have you not experienced that yourself, you've come in contact with your own mortality fresh, but you're working alongside or living alongside or playing alongside other people that are having those questions. Those are opportunities for us, friends, to have spiritual conversations if we can listen right to what's being said. But oftentimes you have to ask yourself, the way you led yourself before the pandemic, is that going to be sufficient now? Things your family did before, is that going to be sufficient now? Because some of us may have went back and realized, we didn't realize how quickly we went back into the pace of things before the pandemics, and you're feeling a little off balance or a little bit unsettled, which is why what I shared last week about the self-evaluation around the Psalms, right? And those 4 areas of your life, are you surviving, thriving, reviving, are important and can help us. Today, what I want to share with you is a way to make decisions. How do you make wise decisions for you, for your life, for your family? And this is something that I learned from Andy Stanley several years ago. So again, I'm all about practical. So practical tool to put in your toolbox. It's a decision-making framework. When you're faced with a decision, right, maybe you're looking at an area of your life thinking, do I even want to do this anymore? Do I want my family to do this anymore? Here's a way that could potentially help you make that decision, all right? Ask yourself, whatever the decision is facing you, ask yourself, is this the wisest decision for me? Not, is it right, is it wrong? Meaning, are you being obedient to God's word or not? Not, is it good, is it bad? No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, ask yourself. It may be the best decision for somebody else, but it's not about somebody else at that point. It's about you. Ask yourself, is it the wisest decision for you? And here's how you can help to answer that question. Pause and take a look at your life and look backwards and ask yourself, based on my past experiences, is this the wisest decision for me? Based on my present circumstances, is this the wisest decision for me? And based on my future hopes and dreams, is this the wisest decision for me? Here's some examples, because I'm all about modeling, right? Let's say that, not modeling like we're in clothes and walking a runway, but modeling, what does this look like to let this play out in your own life? And this is what's important. This is to help you make a decision. It may not be the right decision for somebody else, but you're asking, is it the wisest decision for you? So maybe that, maybe you have an opportunity, right? We know that houses are selling, can't stay on the market. We know that people are getting above asking price for selling house, and you may be tempted to say, oh, is this the time I should sell my house and I could make a profit? Ask yourself, is it the wisest decision for you based on your present circumstances? Okay, maybe you could sell the house, but where would you live? Is there a place to live? Would you have to turn around and buy another house? Based on those answers, it may be a good opportunity, but it may not be the wisest decision for you. Do you see? It may be in that same thing, trying to make a decision, am I going to sell that house? You may look backwards and say, you know what, based on my past experiences, I wasn't able to find a house, or I wasn't sure where I was going to stay, or maybe you did some credit cleanup, or for whatever reason, it wasn't easy, and you're telling yourself, you know what, I don't know that this is the wisest decision for me today, because it may be a seller's market for somebody else, but it may not be the seller market for me based on past experiences, all right? And same thing, based on future hopes and dreams, where you want to be. It may be that you're asking yourself about a relationship. Do I want to enter into this relationship? And I would say, look ahead and ask. There may be nothing wrong with the relationship, but based on future hopes and dreams, if you enter into this relationship, or at the level in that relationship that you're wanting, is it gonna maybe help you accomplish those future hopes and dreams, or could it potentially derail you? All right. So very practical tool, help you make wise decisions that are facing you every day. Every day we have to make decisions, right? Based on a really simple framework. All right, there's your leadership tip for today. So I hope it benefits you. These are the things we learn in our leadership cohorts, ladies. So if you've not participated in one, consider joining us for our online courses that will launch in June, or consider joining me as I facilitate some leadership cohorts. All right, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later this week with a Grace Note devotion.